Hello, greetings, and welcome to this video. I am the Ninjaneer. For the duration of this video, I will have the stats of the Aptera showing up over the video for the presentation because I figure speaking about every stat would be inefficient. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Today we are talking about the launch version of the Aptera and public reception and my personal reception, etc. So here we go. My thoughts were essentially thus. The first thing I'll say is that I really enjoyed the presentation. The fact that they did it live and it didn't go completely smoothly made me that much more excited about the vehicle itself. It showed that these CEOs are real humans and they are doing the work. The CEOs did a fantastic job, and the little mistakes that they made kind of endeared me to them, honestly. I don't know if that is a popular opinion based on some of the videos I've watched in the comments section below the video, but I wanted to make it clear that I personally loved it. The only thing that I will say was kind of a hamper on the presentation itself was the fact that the teleprompter seemed to be moving like a little bit slower than what they were trying to read, and I would say that would be a point of improvement moving forward. Another point of improvement would be the smoothness of the stream itself. The voice did fine, but the video not so much. It also showed in the reproduction of that video when they posted it onto their YouTube channel that the video feed was actually suboptimal. Now, I'm going to do something that a lot of people have done in the past, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I feel like this is the easiest format to discuss this presentation. So first, the good. They are making a single build for their production to speed up their shift towards manufacturing, and I figure that that is a fantastic way to go. It is the most efficient way to go. It's very Aptera of them, if you don't mind me saying that terrible pun. So yeah, that was a good. Another good is they're using extremely lightweight and strong materials. We kind of already knew that, but we got the chance to see a chunk of the composite material that they kind of picked up and tapped on and whatnot. Another good is they increased the cargo capacity to 34 cubic feet. Now, this was kind of a big deal to me because I was expecting that 24, 25 cubic feet of space to be able to work with, and that's right around what my Civic hatchback has, so I was kind of ready for that eventuality to have to deal with the same amount of trunk space. But because they've increased the trunk space, it kind of makes the car that much more desirable to me. I love the look of the inside of the car. That's another good part of this particular endeavor. The redesigned center console is super useful and functional looking. It seems like you'd actually be able to use it every day. It's not going to get in your way. It's not going to encumber you. You can get to your stuff as you are in the car and getting used to the controls and all that kind of stuff. You can get to your phone easier. You can get to your snacks in the center console easier. Whatever you decide to go for, whatever you put in there, it seems like it'll be easy to get to, and yeah, just it's a generally good design in my opinion. Whether or not it'll actually be that when you get the car is another matter, and I am very anxious, very excited to try this center console out and test it. Another good, they have USB-C. This stood out to me because I've been looking for and waiting for USB-C in a Honda for the longest time. They don't still have it in any of the vehicles that I've seen reviews on and all that kind of stuff so far. Maybe they've started putting it in the newer cars. I just don't know. The Aptera is launching with it, so that makes me pretty happy, actually. So yeah, it makes me feel good about my decision to reserve an Aptera. Another good, the last good actually, the enhanced audio package comes with the Launch Edition as a standard feature, or rather as a part of the standard package. It's going to come with the vehicle if you get the Launch Edition. I feel like that is fantastic because people will get to test it before me, and I'll know whether or not I actually want to get it in the car that I get in the end. Now for the bad. There were a couple of things that were kind of awkward or turnoffs to me, or made me feel like, ooh, that's kind of a bad look. So we're going to talk about that stuff. The first thing I would say is I would like to see more buttons. I understand why they didn't put more buttons, but that was more of a sticking point for me because I like the tactile feel. Now, if they decide to make this thing intuitive or unabrasive when it comes to interacting with the touchscreen, like if it has haptic feedback or something like that, then I'll be fine. I'll make it work. But the lack of buttons, maybe because I'm old school or whatever, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Number two, the second thing in the bad category is the lack of level 3 charging. It shocked the bejesus out of the comments section when they were doing the presentation. I don't know if they still have the comments underneath for that launch video because I did not look at the new video, but I will say, man, it got spicy. It got really, really spicy down there. It was, wow. So at that point, I kind of just like turned the comments off because I was trying to enjoy the presentation, and a lot of people were like, bro, we're gonna drop our reservation because you don't have level 3 charging. Doober 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 doo. It was a big deal. It was a really big deal, and I'm hopefully going to share below why it's not as big a deal as people made it out to be or want to make it out to be with a little bit of math. You'll see what I'm talking about later. Now for the ugly. In general, the paint film kind of got me a little antsy. When they said that they were doing a standard wrap, the first thing I thought was, uh-oh, it's going to fade. They kind of dealt with that objection by saying that the parts of the film that would be actually exposed to sunlight, direct sunlight, would be fairly small. And if they know what spots are going to have that affinity to be hit by direct sunlight, I would say a point of improvement or a point of change for their design team, if they haven't already gotten to that point, is to make sure that the pieces that are in direct sunlight are separate from the rest of the wrap, so that when you redo the wrap or when the wrap fades, you can actually redo it in a way that is much faster and cheaper. You take small pieces instead of having to rewrap the entire car. So that's one thing I would say. If they make the pieces that are exposed to the sun their own separate pieces, then I can kind of see the logic behind using a wrap, besides the fact that it's cheaper. Before I was like, okay, the wrap is cheaper, it's easier to deal with than paint, it's less expensive than paint, so I'm good with that. But yeah, the type of film that they decided on was like the standard automotive like wrap that you see in Fast and Furious and all that kind of jazz. And yeah, that kind of threw me off because I know that stuff fades. I've seen it fade, and it makes me sad inside. So if they have a way to make those pieces separate so you can just like peel off that old piece, slap on that new piece, and keep moving, I think that would be the best way to deal with that particular issue. All right, so let's deal with this elephant in the room that I kind of brought up a little bit earlier in the video. The range and the level 2 charging. How will that work on a road trip, on a long road trip? So I sat down, did a little bit of maths, looked at some stats, did a Google search or two, and here's what I came up with. If you guys see something wrong, if you have an addition or a change, please let me know in the comments section, because I'm really interested in seeing if you guys can figure out a better workaround than I figured out for this particular issue. So I plan on driving across country in my Aptera. I reserved a 1,000-mile version, as I mentioned before. Actually, no, I didn't mention that before. So I am getting the 1,000-mile version of the Aptera in black. Yeah, so I'm that wackadoo who said, you know what, I want all the range because I want to see if it can actually go 1,000 miles. Neither here nor there. Anyway, we're going to go with the Launch Edition. I did these numbers with the Launch Edition, and I'm going to see if I can calm a little bit of the fears with respect to level 2 charging. All right. Let's see here. It is suggested, and based on my previous experiences with road trips, I tend to agree with this statement, that you drive no more than 9 hours per day and you take breaks at minimum every 4.5 hours, which basically breaks down to two 4.5 hour chunks of driving, 2.5 hour chunks of driving, two of those. Maybe I'm weak sauce because I have never driven and refused to drive for more than 3 hours at a time. So, assuming a speed of about 70 miles per hour, that is between 210, weak sauce version, that's me, or 315, super Spartan, 4.5 hour chunks. Yeah, between breaks. So, we'll take that average and say about 262.5 miles per driving session. Now, assuming you top off your Aptera before you leave, that will be about 137.5 miles that you have left when you stop for your first break, if you're going by the mean that I just gave above. They said that during the video you can get 57 miles per hour with a level 2 charging in the Aptera. So this is a great time for taking a food stop, maybe going to lunch or breakfast if you started really early in the morning, and basically sit in an establishment for a good amount of time. I personally sit in an establishment for anywhere between an hour and 40 minutes to 2 hours. So after I stretch and then do some calisthenics or something, when I get out of the car, I'll go in, eat for 2 hours, come back out, do some more calisthenics, make sure that I'm ready to get back in the car. So I'll go ahead and round that off to about 2 hours. I take 2 hours or so on a break. 2 hours is a little bit less than what you would need to get enough miles to get to your next stop in an Aptera. So maybe take 2.5 hours, take some pictures of the establishment or in the city or area that you're in. I don't know, fill up that 30 minutes, maybe with more calisthenics, and you'll go ahead and get about 280 miles with 2.5 hours worth of charging on your Aptera when you get back into it. So that is 137.5 plus the sorry, 100. That's going to be 114 miles for 2 hours, and then another 28 miles on top of that. So a total of 280 miles when you get back into your vehicle to start on your way. On your second rest stop, you would need to take a longer break, maybe 4 hours or so. So I would say you would take a little more of a sightseeing sidebar to make sure that your car gets charged enough for that second leg. After your second leg, you can plug it up at the hotel that you stay at. Just make sure that your hotel has level 2 charging, and you can get your full 400 miles in the time that it takes you to sleep. In fact, you get 450 something, I believe. 456. So you get 456 miles in that 8 hours that you're sleeping. To clarify for the time aspect, in case you guys like seeing the time instead of the numbers, well, actually, I don't know if I'm going to put the numbers up there for the time, but I'll go ahead and say it, and then if it sounds confusing when I'm editing, I'll go ahead and put the numbers in there. Anyway, to clarify on the time aspect, if you drive for 3 hours for 3 legs and take 2 breaks, one for 2.5 hours and one for 4 hours, that is 15.5 hours total for your trip for that day. 9 hours for driving and 6.5 hours for breaks, 6.5 hours for breaks. And you cover 787.5 miles if you are consistently going 70 miles per hour for that entire stretch. If you are going to, let's say, Norfolk, Virginia from Carlsbad, California, that trip would take you around 4 days if you went straight through and took the breaks and drove exactly as much as I prescribed in this scenario. So, in my opinion, that is still a road trip that could be fairly time crunched, but you would still get to where you are going in a pretty good time. Side note, For those that do more than 2 meals a day, it's a little scarce to expect you to stop only twice. Uh, a workaround for that, if you are trying to make the absolute best time possible from my calculations, is bring an ice chest with you, put some apples and bananas and grapes and carrots and stuff, basically the stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of mess, and then you can make your way down the road and maybe snack on something while you're going down the road and not have to worry too much about getting 3 full meals a day. I personally only do about 2 meals and some snacks if I have to, because I don't burn a lot of calories on the road. I'm just moving my arms and my foot and swiveling my head around to make sure I'm not, drifting into somebody's lane or hitting something. I don't think it takes a lot of energy necessarily to take those road trips, so I never really needed too much more than 2 food breaks max. So for those of you who do need more than 2 meal breaks, I would say just bring something with you. And this scenario is actually fairly comfortable because I've done it before, more than once. And yeah, I'm a weirdo. I like to plan my road trips out very meticulously, very specifically, and know how long I'm stopping, know where I'm stopping, know what I'm looking at, go to the tourist traps, that kind of stuff. I'm that guy. So being that guy, I get how some people that are more rushed, more I want to really get there, can feel some kind of way about the Aptera's DC charging only being, sorry, Aptera only having level 2 charging, but eh, like, I don't know. If you're taking a leisurely road trip, I feel like Aptera is perfect. So, yeah. Battery chemistry is kind of another consideration, so I'll talk about that briefly. The NMC packs that Aptera is going with suggest you keeping your battery between 80% and 20%. I took that into account for this road trip, and essentially, not taking the initial charge into account, or if you don't take it off the charger overnight, you will see the battery hit 100% one time, but the rest of the time you'll see the battery fluctuate somewhere between 70 and 10%. With some fine tuning, though, you can make that 10% look like a 20% if you stop a little bit longer at your stops, or you stop a little bit earlier before you get to your hotel. You can keep that between about 70 and 20%. Yeah, so at any rate, I hope this video helps assuage some of the more potent fears about the level 2 charging in an Aptera, and that you guys had fun hearing my thoughts about the Launch Edition Aptera. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Ninjaneer. If you'd like to like and or subscribe, please do that by clicking on the links provided. If you'd like to check out other videos I've done, you can do that by clicking on the links in this video. I do have a Discord channel. Please check that out for when I will be releasing new content and the like, and I'll catch you guys next time. Hello, greetings, and welcome. I am Jeff the Christian. Wow.